use this time to see if the rest of the letter just so different.
So I bring her like little adorable 4-year-old. Where is this piece from?
That was just as something really practical.
Oh, she was so cute. Oh, cutest little thing in the world.
And which coworker is this? And that's the for you.
This girl Trisha. And she did it's the second time, and she maybe really just went through run over everything last time. And the woman that called Trisha who was there last time was wearing jacket. And oh no, my. But she left like 45.
What side? Your left on that side? Oh, that's me back.
Your what? Oh,
There's a part me better.
pretty girl.
What animal would you think? They're the elves.
No way.
No, I'm not messing. Oh, no. Yeah.
I'm going forever.
I don't know.
Anyway.
No, herring. Heron. The bird.
Heron, H-E-R-O-N.
Yeah.
It's herring like. What did you say?
Oh, cat.
Cow.
But
More and more people that like take the day off. 5 minutes and then look at it, go.
I want to take my needle out, take my trace it out.
Anybody there?
I'm here. Kevin
Oh,
Andrews.
good. Okay, Ellen Steves.
Hi,
They got the
Ellen.
right meeting?
Yeah, it's the right meeting. This is Nancy Cantelmo. We can hear you.
Oh, cool, thank you. Doing it on a phone makes it kind of tricky.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Hey, Julie, how are you?
I'm fine, Kevin. How are you?
Doing well, thanks.
Good. I'll be right back.
Hi, this is Ellen Goldberg here by phone.
This is Ellen
Hey,
Steves
Ellen.
by phone.
This is Nancy. The meeting hasn't really started yet. I don't think we're hooked up to the town hall, but we can hear you.
Okay. Okay, great. I'm gonna put myself on mute. I will try to be on the Zoom itself on the screen in a few minutes. I'm just not at the computer yet.
No matter how many lights I have on, I still can't get myself out of the dark. Something about an old house and an old lady, I don't know.
Well, Julie, I'm the same, and somehow I have more lights stuck around my house.
Yeah, and I've got light walls and a white ceiling. I don't know. Maybe it's best for me to be kept in the dark.
This is kind of weird, just like waiting.
Waiting for them to hook it up at the town
Right. Yeah. I'm excited about the meeting coming up, Julie.
So am I. So am I. I think it'll be great. Kevin, we have a wonderful event coming up in December, on the 5th of December. Excuse me.
What? Tell me about it.
We have, maybe I will, maybe I won't.
You want me to?
Sure.
Okay. So we have Reno Pisano. He's a sculptor in town in his 90s. And he's done a lot of really cool stuff. And he is presenting a film about how he constructs his artwork, like bronze sculptures or something like that, but he's done some great like bas reliefs and freestanding statues and stuff like that around this area. So he has a kind of granite statue in front of the library.
Oh, yeah, with the
That's it.
circles and the, yeah.
Yeah.
Fine.
The other things that I've seen are not so abstract. I mean, they're more like people or, he's done a couple in Lynn, and he's just a cool guy, and he's in his 90s, but he's still doing this great artwork and stuff. So another interesting Nahant person.
Fantastic. Can I ask Julie a question?
Sure.
I want to just know if the green in front of the Nahant Country Club was ever used for drilling practice, or how come it's still, I mean, how come it wasn't developed back in the day, I guess, is my question. Do you know
Because it's
anything
always
about
been
that?
part of the Nahant Land Company for
Oh,
years,
okay.
years and years. So it's open space that's basically protected, which is wonderful.
Sure is.
So, hello.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
So we just got into town hall, which was locked.
Oh. And you froze.
And you're frozen.
How's this? Any better?
Yes, ma'am.
So we're just having trouble getting the TV going here or the Zoom going here in town hall. But in the meantime, I'll run this meeting from my phone.
It would be in the notice I sent out. Can you open your email? Because I can't open my.
And I'm going to try to do this in the hallway outside while they're trying to make this work. So is the signal still good here?
Yes.
Okay. Right. So,
And now you're frozen.
now I'm frozen.
Now you're on.
How's this?
You're kind of going in and out, Lynn. Now you're out.
Yes. Is it working here?
It's
Seems
working
to be.
well.
Huh?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm Lynn Spencer. I'm chairman of Community Preservation. In the other room, trying to get the screen going is Paul Spurn and Austin Antrim. Who else is on this call from the committee?
Hi,
Ellen
this is
Steve.
Ellen Goldberg. I'm by phone.
I'm sorry?
Ellen Goldberg by phone.
Great. Glad to have you, Ellen.
Ellen Steve's on phone.
Great. Thank you, Ellen.
Leslie Light.
Okay. And did I see Nancy Contalmo's face briefly in the beginning?
Yes, I'm here.
Good. Are we on over there?
Yes.
Okay, I think we're on. So I'm going to rejoin this.
Thank you, Lynn.
Okay.
Great. So now we will formally call the meeting of the Community Preservation Committee together. We were just doing a brief roll call, but I think I want to redo that. Now we're back in the room together. So I've got in attendance Paul Spurn,
Yes.
Austin Antrim.
Yes.
Looking at the screen, I see Nancy Catamo.
I don't know.
And by audio, I think I heard Ellen Steves and Ellen Goldberg.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Great, thank you. David Wilson, who is new to our committee, is unable to join us tonight. He is replacing Mickey Long from representing the Housing Authority. And representing FinCom, I believe I see Julie Tarmy's name on the screen. Yes,
That's correct.
okay. And I also see that we have some guests with us.
I'd be happy to identify myself. I'm Kevin Andrews. I'm the principal at the Johnson School in Nahant.
Okay, great to see you, Kevin. Thank you for being here.
Kevin, what did you say your last name is?
And-
Andrews.
Kevin.
And
What was that?
I see Trish Aldrich lighting up. Okay,
And Josh Antrum's here.
great to hear your voice, Josh. Thank you.
And I'm Leslie Light. It says Sandy Burton, but that's my husband.
Okay, okay, great. I saw Sandy, but okay, heard your name earlier, Leslie. Great.
Yeah.
We're very glad to have you join us. So today is the sort of public meeting that we're hosting for potential applicants to learn more about community preservation and for us to learn more about their projects. But before we get started with that, we do have a little bit of business to cover, which is namely reviewing the minutes.
We could do that, or we could postpone that until after you get the public meeting done, whatever you like.
I'd like to do it now.
Let's do it.
So Paul was able to distribute the minutes, I think, 2 days ago. was it?
Electronically,
Yeah.
yesterday.
Okay, electronically yesterday. So I'm looking for any comments or corrections on the minutes.
I'd like to make a comment. I didn't prepare them. They were prepared so wonderfully by Kristen. Thank you, Kristen.
Yes, we are fortunate to have the support of Kristen Taylor for this committee. So we are very grateful for that. Apart from gratitude, any comments or corrections on the minutes? How about a motion to accept the minutes?
Yes, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Okay,
I'll second Nancy Cantelmo.
thank you. Okay, and I will do a roll call quickly to run this through. All those in favor of accepting the minutes by roll call. Paul Spurn,
Aye.
Ellen Steves,
Aye.
Ellen Goldberg,
Aye.
Nancy Catalmo,
Aye.
Austin,
Aye.
and I cast aye. So there we go. Right, so let's launch into what is community preservation in Nahant. At this point, Nahant, having accepted community preservation in the town meeting in 2004, has had, some good years with this program. If any of you have taken the time to read the insert that we put into the annual town warrant, you will see a complete record of the many projects that we've undertaken over the years, and perhaps been impressed by the millions of dollars that have been spent on, various projects here in the town of Nahant. The way this act works is that it is a real estate surcharge on real estate taxes. In our case, we accepted a 3% surcharge, and for many years that was matched in full by the state through the Community Preservation Coalition and the innovative structure that exists to provide that match, namely, mainly through the benefit of recording fees for real estate transactions. In recent years, probably in the last 6 or 7 years, that state match had sort of slipped downward to the point that it was in the 60% range on average. But this year we got notice, was it about a week and a half ago, that because of the surge and remarkable activity and the selling of real estate and buying of real estate, the state match is predicted to be a 94% match. So,
Woo.
yes, that's a woo. As we look at what this could mean for fiscal year 23, as you saw in the minutes, we had gotten a projection of our real estate surcharge in Nahant of being just under $259,000. With a 94% match, that could rise on to $500,000 plus of money that could be appropriated in 3 basic categories. The way it works is that 10% is allocated for open space and recreation in one category, affordable, or call it community housing, and historic preservation. So then the balance, that 70% balance, is then determined by the committee as they receive grant applications. And grant applications are what we are here to talk about tonight. If you look at the history of grant making here in Nahant, it's been a real range, everything from significant repairs at the town wharf to playgrounds and in various locations, to most recently a tennis court and new basketball court at Flash Road, a basketball court improvement on Spring Road, and projects at the public library and town hall are pending. So we have an application form that has been used now for a number of years. It is available on the town website. It's in a fill-outable form, but we have also got hard copies that Christian had distributed to various committees. So our job tonight is to actually hear from potential applicants and to help give some advice in shaping their applications. There is a small provision in our administrative funds to help support the preparation of grant applications, especially in the area of working out cost and cost estimates that realistically portray the need that is being expressed. Assuming that those needs meet, of course, the criteria that are set out in the grant application for eligible costs. So with that, let's hear about some projects or potential projects. Anyone want to start?
I'd be happy to start.
Great. Okay,
Kevin Andrews
Kevin.
here, again, principal of the Johnson School. We've been working for several years for encouraging students to walk and bike to school. And the Nahant Heritage Trail runs from Lowlands parking lot right behind the school. And then it ostensibly cuts through the woods and up towards Bayley's Hill. Over the years, the signs have been lost just through falling over or whatnot. So the trail isn't that well identified. And it also travels over a grassy patch from Flash Road Playground to the area behind the school. Students invariably ride their bikes through the paved DPW yard to get to the school or else on the sidewalk. So I thought that we might apply for funds to install a clay or stone dust bike path from the Flash Road Playground to through the grass behind the DPW yard and over to the school, increase the signage for the Nahant Heritage Trail, and then also add some markers for the forest playground to identify what plants people might see as they go on the Heritage Trail through that area. And we're hoping to really tie in the forest playground project that we've been doing behind the school to the Heritage Trail and make it a stop on that trail. Also look at the sign that is at the Lowlands parking lot. I believe that is maybe original to when the trail was installed and could use some refreshing.
Mhm. Okay, have you begun to think about a potential budget or a means of sort of moving this forward?
I really haven't. I've just wanted to come to the meeting tonight to learn if it's possible for me to, as principal, apply on behalf of the school and learn a little bit about the process. I'm working with the Nahant Education Foundation, who will, support some of the logistics of the project, and also with Diana Brandy and the Nahant Garden Club.
I saw Diana yesterday.
Oh yeah,
She's a dynamo, isn't she?
she sure is.
So while I'm thinking about it, what is going on with the community garden? Does the Johnson School have a role in that?
Oh, we sure do. The students just finished planting garlic for the over the winter. They harvested their potatoes. Each school, each grade level now has a bed that they own year after year. And so we used to have it by grade level. So if you're in third grade, the following year, you go to the fourth grade bed and then the fifth grade bed. And every year you get a different bed. And we realized it was kind of counterproductive because you'd always have a different plot. And so now what we've done is we've really assigned the beds that the students have to them for their graduating class. So one class of students can plant in the spring and then come back to the same bed in the fall as a new grade level and harvest from that bed. And then hopefully over the summer, parents and children would be interested in maintaining some of the things that are there. But we're really targeting plant species that are low maintenance. So staying away from tomatoes and peppers and more towards things like potatoes that you can put in the ground and then not have to worry too much about them, or garlic or peas that come up quickly and harvest quickly. And then have bonuses if peppers do happen to grow and survive the summer with not too much maintenance.
That sounds great. So pleased. And then you've got a butterfly garden too.
Oh yes, yeah. Paul Kyra started that large pollinating garden, and Diana Brandy's taking it over and working with kids on collecting seeds. It's amazing how many butterflies you'll see right in that little square. We're looking to do a research project just to count, measure that area, count the number of butterflies there, and then go to the back of a ball field and see how many butterflies are there and see what impact planting pollinators can have. So Diana Brandy's really been the force behind that, carrying on, and it's been wonderful to see. But each class gets out there a few times each season. We break it into small groups and make it happen. Gardening with kids is challenging, but if you break it down into smaller groups of kids and have multiple activities happening at once, it can really be successful.
That's great. So back to the bike path concept. So this would be from the Flash Road playground itself behind DPW and the fire station. Is there a roadway there now, Austin?
There is between the fire station and the DPW. I think what Kevin is referring to is coming out of sort of further down Flash Road. The trail exits, crosses the street, and enters the Flash Road Park area.
Right.
And then the signage sort of disappears. So I think the kids travel along the sidewalk and then through that area where vehicles are traveling. So I think what he's proposing is having it travel through the park, keeping people away from the vehicle traffic between those two buildings.
And somehow getting between the ball fields. So yeah, that works. Okay. And that you're thinking would be a stone dust pathway.
Yeah, something that wouldn't be too high maintenance, but would be a visual identifier. And that would be relatively easy to install as compared to, we wouldn't want to put asphalt there or anything like that.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
May I ask
other
a question? I'm sorry. May I ask a question, Kevin?
Please.
Is your work done or funded for the forest playground?
It sure is, but we really think that the forest playground is going to be an ongoing project that we can always enhance. And so our next phase is really to identify, plants, plant species. And so, the plants are installed, the play structures are installed, and our next phase is really to put markers in so that visitors, residents of Nahant can walk along the forest playground, which is where the trail goes. And then as they go by, we have these roadside gardens, and then they could see what species are there and maybe learn something about them. We've been visiting children's gardens at different sites and taking pictures and ideas of kind of outdoor exhibits.
Ask him what he thinks about it.
Yeah. Other comments from committee members before I ask another question? Okay, here it is. It was who would be the preferred applicant, the school itself or the Ed Foundation on your behalf? You mentioned the Ed Foundation earlier, Kevin, and
Yeah, I think it would make sense to keep it with the school, and I would use the Ed Foundation for support. If that's possible, if that would be allowed.
Mhm.
Can we give Kevin an idea of what would happen if you were to call up a contractor and say, I've got this idea, or a designer, and this is what I want to do, and they say, well, good luck to you. And you say, well, no, I've got some money, I can hire you to do this. How much money do you think he's likely to be able to ask for? What can we give him for the development?
To develop this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the town oftentimes works with an engineer whose last name I'm forgetting, but her first name is Vicky, and she was involved in, for instance, these recreation projects recently. And she actually was involved with the master plan for the Flash Road recreation area. So I think she'd be a good person to consult with on developing the kind of, if you will, the schematic design for this and a budget. And we can sort of direct you to be in contact with her. I would think that we're talking about a couple $1,000s to really sort of develop this to the point where we would have a grant application that would have enough content in it to really understand the full project. And that would be basically a diagram which would show this pathway and identify the areas of signage improvement more specifically, and a budget for the signage as well as the pathway.
Great.
Vicky's last name is Masson.
Masson,
Yes.
yeah, Vicky
Yeah,
Masson,
yeah,
what I thought
that's
you were
it.
gonna say.
That's
Great.
it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So would the proposal be for paying for the plan or paying for the whole project?
Paying for the whole project. What we're offering is small grants now, Nancy, to help develop the plan sufficiently for a grant application. So it's a couple $1,000s for that purpose. So we haven't actually, we've had this available to applicants for a couple of years, and this could be the first time that somebody has actually taken us up on it.
Great.
So think of it developing to the level of schematic design. So you've identified the pathways, the materials, the number of signs, and a budget for each of those things.
Sure thing. And sounds like a great next step. I have some experience with it, so I think that between myself, folks at NEF who could help with graphics, and then also just thinking about the landscape design, I think we could we could put together a nice package for application.
So in order to sort of move that to the next level, I'll be in touch with you. We'll link you and Tony together so he can actually reach out to Vicky and set up kind of basically a fee proposal for her services for this preparation.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments about this potential application?
I was asked to come here on behalf of the Garden Club with, I think, similar project with the school. I think it's just sort of, we had been talking to Diana Brandy about the signage and I think about expanding the pollinating plants. Kevin, does that sound familiar?
Yes, it does. Yes, I had
Yeah.
spoken to Joanne about that as well.
Right. Yeah, Joanne kind of sent me here tonight. So would that be something that would be a smaller piece that could get acted on for the coming school year on her part? What do you think about that? Sort of separate, and then you have a large plan, a large overall plan, but I think we're talking about details here.
Right. I think you're right. I think enhancing the trail side and including plants that people might see in other places, maybe including a pollinating area in the Flash Road playground that would connect it to, what they see as they continue down the path. Because you come out of the woods and then you're in the field. So I think, having some habitat signage about meadows and maybe reducing some of the lawn area to increase biodiversity would be wonderful.
Okay. So would we tack that on to what you're doing or make that a separate thing?
No, I would think that would be a separate, we would put it together. Let's get together on that and we could have, have a packet, have something about the Heritage Trail, reviving the Heritage Trail and enhancing it.
Okay. All right. And clearly Diana needs to be involved. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. We talk regularly.
Yeah. Okay, great.
That sounds like a good marriage. And I'm all in favor of reducing lawns. So yeah, that sounds great. Maybe we even can get to the day when the golf course makes less use of pesticides and insecticides for their lawn care, but that's another story. That's another story.
That would be.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Leslie. I'm glad that you were able to come on and sort of join up with this discussion with Kevin about the improvements over there. Sounds interesting.
Great.
Other potential applications? Julie.
I think I'm going to put on my Historical Society hat now.
I thought so.
I think you can plan on seeing an application from the Historical Society, going back to some of the items that we wanted to have conserved and are still waiting to be conserved. We have the town records that I brought to the meeting that time, which include the very first town report, as well as the 4 William Wood letters that helped establish the library, along with some volumes of fire department and police department records, as well as some vital school records that we hold in our collection. So I'll sit down and put together, after talking with the board, which objects we think are the highest priority.
Have you actually, I do remember discussions along these lines, Julie. Have you actually reached out to a conservator to begin to think about what the budget might be for this?
Yeah, we've had them, we sent them all off to NEDCC, who gave us an estimate of what each item will cost to conserve and digitize.
Well, we certainly had invested in the town hall records over, I think it was a 4-year period
I think
for
that's
doing that project. So So that is certainly, in line with the guidelines of community preservation when it comes to the historic preservation category.
Excellent.
So that's good. And we love William Wood and his library.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Josh? Listening. Maybe.
Yep.
I'm just curious to know if you have any potential projects or projects that are on our docket that you're concerned about and want to bring up in this session.
I didn't really. I was really just here to listen and learn.
Okay.
One question though, is it the responsibility of the grant writer to get these projects kicked off, or does it vary sort of project to project? Like, who's responsible for getting it done, so to speak?
Well, that does vary from project to project. I can say for the town projects, such as the tennis courts and basketball courts, that's been managed by Tony Barletta. In both cases, working as it happens with Vicky Masson as a consultant. Nancy, you are involved through Open Space with another project, and maybe you could talk about how that is sort of moving forward. That's the Bayley's Hill project.
Yeah, we started off just basically working with the DPW and developing this project. We've just had some setbacks over time, and a lot of the work that the DPW has already been involved with has impacted on what they can do with us. So another model which is being looked at for friends of East Point is some work to be done up there, in which the work would not primarily be done by the DPW, but in conjunction with them, and having a plan developed by us, by another group. Yeah, we've just kind of have some difficulty in moving this project forward.
So that's a town-owned project or a town project, and you're working with Zach through the DPW on its implementation.
Right.
For private nonprofit projects, the grants, Josh, are given to the nonprofit like the Historical Society, and they undertake the contracting and project management directly. So it depends on the applicant and their kind of their status as a town project versus a private nonprofit project.
Okay, thanks.
And by the way, if it's a town project and it is going to be going to procurement, then they have to go through public procurement and following Chapter 149 guidelines. So for instance, the tennis and basketball court, which is a $280,000 project, went out to public bid. Smaller projects can be handled by, small project procurement or something like that, but it has to follow public procurement for town projects that are being undertaken that way. In the case of the Bayley's Hill project, Nancy, I think a lot of that is being done by town labor, and that's a matter of allocating, of time management, quite honestly, for that department. So it's a different kind of challenge.
Lynn, is there a specific dollar amount where it has to go out to bid, or cannot have to go out to bid?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's tiers to spending. So a project under $10,000 can be handled by soliciting three three bids. A project of $150,000 and below has to go to the central register, you know, so it is sort of all laid out in that chapter 149 sort of procurement process, but it is by tiers. So for instance, Kevin, in the case of the Johnson School project, that is likely to actually be under $150,000. And but that still would have to go into the central register. You can invite contractors, but it has to be publicly advertised primarily through the central register. And then you have to take the lowest accepted, the lowest qualified bid. So,
Lynn, would that be an argument for having the Education Foundation be the applying party? Would that remove some restrictions?
I don't think it really would because it's on town-owned property. So.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
But the Ed Foundation may actually add some match to this project, and that would actually enhance, you know, the application in our minds, because we always like to see dollars extended by match if possible. And that match in that case may be, you know, in-kind services. You know, we can't technically count that in the grant package, but we certainly can recognize volunteer services. And you certainly have lots of volunteers involved with that project. And whether it's through Diana's efforts or the partnership with the Garden Club, all of that kind of enhances the application's sort of weight, if you will.
And it makes it more fun.
I hope so. I hope so. Got to have some fun with this. I mean, you know, the fun for us is actually giving money out for projects that actually add value to community life. That's what this is about. So.
And projects that otherwise might not be funded.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, a lot of the things that we've funded have really been on town-owned properties, and they've extended them in ways that the town normally wouldn't have been able to afford, quite honestly. We have Sharon here from the public library. Do you have anything you want to bring forward, Sharon? Do you have a project?
Yeah, I have some projects going on. We are ongoing with this year's project, which is to address the slate roof, flashing gables, the windows, gutters, drainage off the east side, a couple of vents, and the bulkhead and back. Yep, all this year. If the bids come in acceptably, we'll do all of those. If it's too high, then we'll prioritize, which we already have. We already know what comes first. We have probably one project left in us on the exterior of the building, and that would be the outer walls of brick to repoint, to address some fungus in the on the walls in the north side, and to look at some of the sandstone coins around some of the windows, on some of the corners of the building that have eroded because they're sandstone. It turns out that it looks like we have some leftover sandstone blocks in storage in the basement, probably left over from when they originally built the thing. Mm-hmm. So we're going to use those toward the chimney repair this year, and then see what we still have for other projects going forward, and get some better recommendations about whether we should just resurface those, replace blocks. What do we have to do there?
Yeah, okay. What about any interior projects?
No interior projects yet next year, but in future years, yeah, then we would start to address that. Probably first project up would probably be HVAC
Mhm.
and electrical.
Right.
We've already had a couple of things go wrong with the current boiler. So yeah, that'll probably float to the top of the list
Okay.
once we address the inside.
So your project has also MHC, Mass Historical Commission funding. And have you got approved documents? Have they approved your documents?
I believe they are about to sign the final contract on that, so
Great.
we're set there.
Okay.
It's just, getting the signature on the piece of paper now.
Okay.
We have gone out to bid at this point. It's in the central register. It's published in the local paper. I understand we've had about 30 people look at that already. And we've had someone do a walk through the building this past week. So, and the people who are looking at it look good. So it looked like we'll have qualified people on the job. Yay.
So this is an interesting project for us because our committee will remember that this is a second bond to the public library. This one's part of an aggregate of the public library, the town hall, and the Ellingwood, or the front gate at Green Lawn Cemetery. So when your project starts, that bond will be actually read, and then we'll start actually needing to budget for the bonding, the cost of that bonding. So, okay, well, that's exciting.
On to the next adventure.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Thanks for the update.
Thank you.
Usually we have Tony at this meeting and he has a long list of
Christmas list.
projects. He has a Christmas list, like, I want for Christmas, but he's not here tonight, so we're not quite sure of that. Oh, but I do see another person raising a hand. Is that you, Trish?
You're muted. Trish, I think you're muted. Go to the, hey, that's better.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Chipmunks. Nope, still can't hear you. Nope, can't hear you.
Do you want to phone in?
Yeah, you can phone in and talk while we watch you. That's fine.
Or is the chat enabled? She could put it in.
No, that would be too tedious, I think. I don't have that with me. Trish, we'll give you the telephone number to call. Can you get, oh wait, I can open up my email, couldn't I?
Trish, can you hear me? Trish? The telephone number that you could call in is 929-205-6099. What happened? She went away.
Well, she could have stayed on.
Well, maybe she's just trying to go back, shut it off and come back on.
Yeah.
That would make sense, Nancy. Kathy Martin, I see you on the screen. Do you have any questions or thoughts you want to share with us?
Okay, we see Trish now.
Okay, there's Trish.
How about hearing me? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, yay, that's great.
This might work.
We're so glad to see you and hear you.
All right, sorry about that. Sometimes my system works and sometimes it doesn't. But So Nancy Cantelmo and I are both on the Friends of East Point group. And Nancy, if you want to jump in here, particularly if I get lost again, please do. But this group has recently been formed to try to take better care of Lodge Park in particular, or starting really with Lodge Park. And we are, well, really, I guess I would say we've already requested some proposals from some different groups to develop a master plan or restoration and ecological management plan to guide efforts at Lodge Park. This would include removing invasive species, mowing the meadows, reintroducing native plants, working on some signs, both safety type signs and interpretive signs, and so on. And we would anticipate both working with DPW, because of course they're already doing a lot, but they are stretched very thin. So we, in our RFP, we asked for some numbers to be provided on, if DPW did the work, or if volunteers did the work, or if we hired someone to do the work, what the different costs might be. So this is in process at this point, I would say. And the preliminary numbers are $10,000 or less to develop the plan. So I guess I'm wondering if that sounds like something that might be of interest. What else we should know, if it would be smart possibly for a nonprofit such as Swim to apply, or whether we would just sort of go through the town, whether we might try to get a match from Swim and possibly to match the funds from you folks. How's that, Nancy? What did I leave out?
No, that's fine. Besides signs about the ecology of the area, we were also wanting to include some cultural and historical and geographical kind of signs or guidings up in that area.
Do I remember the sort of guided tour that was done with Northeastern some time ago? I think it was an app tour, Nancy. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
It was an app, and you could also read it online when it was available.
Right. Yeah, I know the Historical Society had worked closely with Northeastern at that point to develop that. So interesting. So you've actually, raised a number of different interesting topics. First of all, I think it's, it makes a huge, I'm a big advocate for coming up with a management plan up there myself, having spent a fair amount of time up there and with it. And of course, you all are aware of the funding that community preservation has given to the town, $1.5 million towards the acquisition of the conservation restriction on the East Point, the Northeastern property related to East Point. So it makes a lot of sense to begin to do this. When you came up with a budget of $10,000, Trish, tell me how did that come out? How did you come up with that?
We requested proposals from 4 different organizations. 2 of them provided proposals. And one of those proposals is for $7,500, I think, and one is for $10,000.
And who are those organizations, Trish?
One is the Mass Audubon Ecological Services Group. They're the folks that developed the master plan for the thicket, Mass Audubon thicket. And then the other group that submitted a proposal is Parterre Ecological Services.
Who are they?
I don't know, some really nice guy who walked around and he knows all the plants, and I don't know, they have a lot of experience. I forget how we found out about them, but we were casting about for different entities that do this kind of work and found out about them.
Interesting. Okay.
Can you text me some contact for them? I'd just like to look them up online.
Sure. Yep.
Text or email, whatever you know.
So would this be focused just at the town-owned Lodge Park area at this
Initially-
point?
Yes, at this point, that's what we thought we would start with.
Okay, okay.
Maybe it would expand to a larger area in the future, but we would start with the Lodge Park.
All right. And is this one of the recommendations of the master plan that's being developed by your committee, Nancy?
The general idea is, yes, I mean, we'd like to see this done in all sorts of places around town. And it's kind of interesting because DPW has done a lot of very, very nice work up there already. I mean, it's significantly changed. And compared to Bailey's Hill, which is kind of a jungle compared to that, you know, it seems so much tamer up there, but there still is a lot of work to be done. And we would like to see developed plans, not just take out this and put in this, and, you know, it's a lot more complicated these days. So yes, open space supports this. And one thing that relates a little to Kevin's project was trying to maybe perhaps get consistent signage around town in a way that was lasting and maybe combined with some national standards. Like it would be nice around town to have something, you know, that had a consistency to it. The signage along the Linway.
Linshore Drive.
Linshore Drive, sorry, Linshore Drive is very lovely. It's kind of burnished metal or something in a way, and it just seems to be a very durable thing. But I just think in an overall sense, we'd like to think about signage all over town in a unified kind of way, working together on that.
Right,
Okay.
so similar to the sign that's at the life-saving station that I believe follows the National Park Service interpretive sign guidelines.
Well, since I was involved with that, I can say I'm kind of vaguely aware of the Park Service design thing, but I kind of had my own design idea.
Yeah, but similar to that, in that spirit.
Okay.
In the spirit of it.
But yes, but that was actually, you know, on metal panels and, you know, we did work with, in that case, we worked with Cynthia Robinson to help come up with the content. And she's really good about, you know, short text and that kind of thing. So actually you've raised an interesting point, Trish. We had some funding from Essex Heritage. From their small grant program, which you might want to look into. And then we worked with a company that we identified. I can't even quite remember how we had identified them with them, but it took some effort to make it happen, but it did happen. And I can provide that information to you.
Okay, terrific, thank you.
That was funded, those two signs, by the way, were funded out of the Short Beach or out of the Life Saving Station landscape plan. So once you come up with a plan and, you know, the elements of the signage program or the improvements and the planting, then you could be going on to implementation. So it sounds like this is a planning grant and then we would be followed by implementation grants.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, makes sense.
And
Great idea.
so the amount that these companies are asking for exceeds the small few $1,000s that might be needed, for an example, for like Kevin's project. Is that right? I mean, this is too much money for the seed money kind of.
Yeah, Nancy, it is. I mean, our entire administrative fund is like $10,000. So we can give small grants to help prepare your grant application. But it sounds to me like one approach is that you apply for the planning grant money. And I would encourage you to sort of probably expand a little bit beyond the 7,500, make sure you cover everything you want to have in there. So it's both ecology as well as signage, as well as content for signage. So, it might be a $15,000 or $20,000 grant application. Spend the year actually developing that application, the specifics of it, and then come in the following year for actual implementation. That's one approach. The other approach is you find your $7,500 now, and in 2 months' time, because I actually neglected to say the deadline, I realized, for our grant applications is January 28th. And for that, we will really need to have pretty solid applications with pretty solid budgets. Now, having said that, we do realize that, these are budget estimates. Once you actually take a project, and Kevin, I'm looking at you, once you take a project and really develop the plans and specifications, and then it goes to bid, then you start knowing what your actual project costs are going to be. And at the end of the projects, you really know what it cost. So.
Makes sense.
So I don't know, Nancy and Trish, if that's kind of this sort of approach you were thinking about, a year planning grant followed by a development grant, or were you thinking about trying to come in with your development grant in January?
No, I think forming the plan is what we're thinking about now. And then the question is, so we have these 3 companies, isn't it? It's 3, Trish, right? 2? Okay. But you made a spreadsheet with the various options that, and so would it be, the 2 companies. So would it be helpful if we showed those to you guys, like Lynn or something? Or how would we're just trying to pick which one we would.
Well, I would say we do have detailed proposals from these 2 firms. One of them from Parterre Ecological is what I would consider to be ecological restoration. They do invasive species management and planting with native plants and that kind of thing. They're really plant people, which they're very good at. The other one, the Mass Audubon Ecological Extension Services Group, is much broader. It would include visitor services. So when people come, what kind of is it welcoming when they first arrive at the property? What sort of signs inform them of where they are and where they can go and what they do? And then also would have some more interpretive signs, as we're talking about the history of the property, the ecological value of the property, that kind of thing. And then also the plant management part of it. So it's broader. But we have, let's say, 4 or 5 page proposals from each of these 2 groups. So in my mind, I guess I would think we would be ready. We have the information to prepare a grant proposal for this January deadline, I would think, without having looked at your actual requirements for grant proposals. But
I think it's going to be a matter of, from what you're describing, is making sure that you cover, in fact, all of your objectives. You're defining in the RFP your objectives. So if you want to have visitor services, the interpretive signs, as well as ecological management plan, that would sort of lean you towards the Mass Audubon thing. In contrast, you could go back to Parterre and say, we appreciate what you've given us, but we are looking for these things in addition to what you've given us. And so you try to make sure that it's an apples to apples situation.
Yes, we provided a scope of work to both of the companies and they came back with slightly different proposals, I think, based on what their strengths are as, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Interesting. The other thing is to make sure that they can do the work in the time frame that you ask them to do. So, yeah. Okay. Well, it sounds interesting that when you talk about visitor services, you do raise the interesting question that is very much of a question for the town of Nahant, and that is parking. So if you are welcoming people who are non-residents, where they might park is of course a big issue. Yeah. They've got those 2 places over at the Mass Audubon.
Right.
Which often fill up with fishermen and stuff like that, because you know, people know about that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Nancy, would that be the only 2 parking places in Nahant?
So as Tony mentioned at our last meeting, there's all sorts of permutations about what exactly is the parking. Like, do you need to have a sticker? Do you need to have a town sticker? How is it posted? So it's kind of confusing. The other thing, I don't know if people are generally aware of this, but we have an agreement with the police department that people who come to town for activities like bird watching and other outdoor activities in the out of season time can go to the police station. So after like middle of May to September middle, and get a permit to park around town. So we've lessened the anger of a lot of out of town birders about our unfriendliness in town by doing that kind of an agreement.
Interesting. Okay. Well, it sounds like you've been doing some real sort of thinking and searching on this process and certainly encourage a grant application. Seems interesting.
Terrific. Thank you very much.
Okay, glad you could get on, Trish.
Thank you.
And by the way, I want to say a word about the work that you and David have done on your seawall.
The wall.
The wall.
Yes.
I think it's really brilliant. And I loved the sign that you put up for thanking your neighbors and so on. But I think the craftsmanship and the thought that went into building that seawall was really impressive.
Thank you very much. That's great to hear. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
We do too.
Okay. What else have we got here, Paul?
What do they do if they run up against a problem? Who do they call? Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters? I don't know. So you can actually, our names are all listed on the town website. So I think the first thing is questions would come to me as the chair, and I would definitely fling them out to various members of the committee or refer them to Tony.
Yeah, I'm sure Tony would be helpful.
And then we are also supported by Kristen Taylor at Town Hall, which is wonderful. She will be the actually person receiving the grant applications. It's listed on the town website. Her email address is listed. We certainly encourage electronic applications, and efforts have been made to sort of do a fillable form for the town
Yeah,
website.
where do we stand with that, Lynn? Do you know?
I believe that is, I mean, I gave the few date changes that there were on this.
And Tony made a proposal.
Yeah.
And I think we said yes.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Yeah. So I will double check with Kristen tomorrow to see if that actually has gone up on the town website.
But at worst, it could be submitted as a file attached to an email.
Right.
And worse, hard copy.
Worse. And our committee will begin their deliberations on these grant applications the week after we receive them. So they're due on January 28th. And as Paul just said, an attachment, hard copy, or the fillable form. Whichever way, get them into us. And then we begin the process of reviewing and interviewing applicants to help, to answer specific questions that we might see in the applications. Of course, the best application is one that is absolutely complete and has all of the elements that we're looking for. There is a certain built-in redundancy in this grant application, but not too bad, not too bad. I say that from experience, having worked across the state on this program, and I see a lot of redundancy in those applications, less so here. So submit this. We will be going through 2 months of review and consideration, and then we'll move to FinCom with our report, and then finally it'll be going to the town meeting. Julie, do we have an actual date for the town meeting in May?
I don't have it in front of me, but it would be the third Saturday.
The third Saturday of May, okay. And so our committee then makes our recommendations in the town warrant. They're read at the town meeting, and it's the town meeting that in the end is the group that actually votes to support the grant applications. They do need to meet the community preservation grant requirements. That's all laid out in this grant application, as well as the links to websites that give more information about community preservation. I haven't got anybody on, so we've actually had open space represented here, historic preservation with potentially the Historical Society coming forward. Anyone on for community housing with a potential question or application? Stunned silence ensues. So we'll probably be hearing from the Housing Authority, but that certainly is a potential applicant group. And in fact, there is $35,000 in accumulated reserve for community housing. There's about $260,000 in our general reserve account. So we are in good shape financially. We do have 3 potential bonds, one that has already been taken for the public library, one that is about to be taken for the public library, town hall, and Green Lawn Cemetery. And then when the town actually moves forward with the eminent domain and fully expends the $3 million that has been given to the town for that project, we are then into the $1.5 million of bond, of approved bond for the East Point acquisition. So we've got some time on it, though. We've got some time on it. So unless there's further business.
Not here.
Not here.
You want to set one meeting date?
I think
Did
we set a date, Paul?
If we did, it would have been in these minutes, wouldn't it? And I don't think I see it.
Okay.
Yeah, not there.
I guess the question,
Monday seems to work, so let's keep going on Mondays. Let's
Mondays
have a
are-
reason why not.
their Mondays are the date, but the question is, do we need to have a meeting before
Okay,
we start meeting as a group?
okay,
To review grant applications?
as they come in,
Yeah. Which would be
probably be a good idea.
the end of January. So we could have one in between meeting.
Okay, and cancel it if we have nothing to
And
work
cancel
on,
if we
but
have
we
nothing.
probably will have something to work on.
And if I guess, Tony will want to have his Christmas list at that meeting. So that's what kind of the way it has worked in the past. So we'll give that opportunity. So It's either the end of December, it's either sometime like the 20th of December.
Good. Or between,
Or the 27th.
wait, no. I don't think that would be.
The 3rd of January.
the
Yeah,
10th?
these are all around holidays. Nobody wants to do
No,
this.
exactly. So how about the 10th?
Well, okay,
Is it too late?
might be a little bit too late, but let's do it the 10th.
All right. And
So the
then,
next meeting will be January 10th.
then the next one should be the week after the submission date.
Yes.
And that's the submission date's the 28th.
Mhm.
So that would be the following Monday, the 1st of February, Groundhog Day. No, sorry,
The
31st.
31st.
31st. All right, Kristen and I will set up a system for making sure this gets done.
Okay. And then after the 31st, we would be meeting potentially. No, let's do the meeting on the 31st, see how many applications we actually get,
Yeah.
and then gauge our workload accordingly.
Okay, that we start to get into meeting high season. And I just wonder if we're competing with anyone else
Oh, on
for
time.
Monday nights.
Yeah,
I don't know. I really don't know.
yeah.
So we-
Julie, are you still on?
Yes, I am.
What day of the week is FinCom meeting?
We've generally gone with the middle of the week, either Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so I think you're safe on Mondays.
How
Okay.
about open space, Nancy?
That's not, it varies.
Okay,
So I can't say, no special time.
mhm.
Okay. Well, Paul, we could just, take it and just book,
Take every other,
take every
every
other,
two.
every other.
All right, so starting on the 31st of January, every 2 weeks.
That's right.
All right.
Oh, which will be on Valentine's Day too. That will be really popular,
Popular.
very popular.
We could skip that one.
Well, maybe what we do is the 7th of, we'll do the 31st and the 7th, and then skip to the 21st.
Okay,
So,
okay. And then the first week in March, whatever that is.
and then March 7th.
March 7th, March 7th, correct.
Okay,
And all of these meetings are public meetings.
that's right.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, this is
sure.
posted
They'll all
days.
be probably hybrid meetings.
Probably hybrid, and if we can count on Austin every time to get us into the building, we'll be good.
Well, Tony said he would give us a key. He trusted us.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Well, can I have
I move to adjourn.
can I have a second on that?
Second.
Second,
Okay, great, many
Austin beat
seconds.
you to it.
Okay. All in favor? Can we just,
Yes.
can we make a lot of noise and
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
get,
right.
okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
good. Thank you, Nancy.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you all. Thank you for coming. Good to see you, Kevin.
Oh, thank you. Nice to be here.
Okay,
see you soon.
All righty.
all right, see ya. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. So